For those that are just joining us, my name is Samantha Scholes. I'm the managing editor of the Mount Vernon News, sponsor of tonight's debate. Just a quick recap of how we're going to do things. Our candidates will present some opening statements, and then we'll ask some questions myself, Marty Tracy with KnoxPages.com, and Curtis Newland of WQIO WMVO. Candidates will then give closing statements. Let me introduce our candidates for the probate juvenile court judge race: Republican Jennifer Springer and Democrat Jeffrey Williams. Again, let me reiterate that we hope that our audience will be attentive and courteous and turn their phones off and hold your applause until the end of tonight's debate. And if you give us just a second, we'll get the questions and opening statements started. Thank you. Ms. Springer, your name was drawn to start first, so you have 3 minutes to give an opening statement to answer the question, who are you and why are you running?
Thank you. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you, you too. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here. I'm very excited that there's such a big crowd tonight. I wasn't expecting that, but I'm very happy about that. In 3 minutes or less, I'm going to try not to only introduce myself, but answer some of the questions that I think you all may have. Who am I? What is my background? And why am I running for this position? Why am I more qualified than my opponent? And the question I'm most frequently asked, hey Jennifer, I'm working as hard as I can to support my family and the government always wants more money. Is there anything you can do to save tax dollars? First of all, my name's Jennifer Springer, and I was born here in Knox County at Mercy Hospital, like most of the members of my family, actually next door to where I currently work at Zelkowitz, Berry & Colors, which is a wonderful law firm here in Mount Vernon. My father's job took our family out of Knox County for a while, but I maintained close ties to the community through my relatives, and I always knew this was where I would come back to live. Prior to joining Zelkowitz, Berry & Colors, I worked at the Knox County Prosecutor's Office for 8.5 years, where I had a wide variety of duties. I did a lot of civil work, but I was also the Chief Assistant Prosecutor, and I prosecuted major felony crimes. I'm running in part because I have 2 young sons who I love very much, Matthew and Alexander. And I want for your children the same thing I want for my children, to grow up in a community, to go to schools where they feel safe from the all-corrupting influence of drugs and violent crimes, which we're faced with today as we see in the news on a daily basis. I think the fact that I've prosecuted major felony crimes and Mr. Williams has not is one of the biggest differences between us. I know many of you here tonight because you're here from Jeffrey Williams. Well, here's a fact that may shock you. I like Jeffrey Williams. I've practiced in front of him, and how can you not like him? He's a caring man. He's a very nice man. But I like to think I'm a very caring person as well. And prosecuting major felony crimes forces you to look at an offender dispassionately. As a matter of judicial philosophy, if a juvenile offender were to come before me as a judge for a second time, I would be inclined to mete out harsher punishment than my opponent, Jeffrey Williams. I believe that this is the most effective way to keep juvenile offenders from coming back a third, a fourth, or a fifth time, or in order to graduate to felony court, which I saw many times when I was the felony prosecutor. So far, I've been talking about juvenile court, but that's really only half the job. The other half is probate court. Mr. Williams has experience in juvenile court, as do I.
Your time is up, ma'am.
Thank you. I appreciate your vote on November 4th.
Mr. Williams.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's certainly an honor to come before you here this evening as a candidate for judge of the probate juvenile court. If you come away with nothing else from this debate here tonight, I can ask that you remember one word: and that word is experience. After graduating from Capital University Law School, my wife and I moved to Mount Vernon, where I entered practice with my father, Dan Williams, a lawyer here in town. As an only child, and due to my father's health issues, I felt the need to live closer to my parents. While in private practice, I focused on family law, probate law, and bankruptcy. In 1995, I was fortunate to be appointed as magistrate of the Probate Juvenile Court by Judge James Ronk. A magistrate, like a judge, is a judicial officer and subject to all the same requirements. Other than signing final judgment entries, executing search warrants, or incarcerating adults based on an adult charge, a magistrate can do anything that a judge can do. The Probate Juvenile Court is divided into two sections, the Probate Division and the Juvenile Division. The Probate Division focuses on estates and estate administration, name changes, guardianships, and adoptions. As an adoptive parent myself, I take particular pleasure in presiding over adoptions and hearing and seeing the joys of those families. Now let me tell you about the Juvenile Division. The Juvenile Division comprises approximately 95% of the workload of the Probate Juvenile Court. The Juvenile Division addresses all custody, visitation, and child support cases with the parents of whom have never had the benefit of marriage. It is an interesting statistic to note that over half the children born in Knox County are born to unwed parents. Between 2001 and 2011, there were over 5,500 new filings in custody, visitation, and child support cases. I heard every one of those cases. We have delinquency cases, cases in which children have committed offenses that would be misdemeanors or felonies if committed by an adult. We have unruly, truancy, juvenile traffic cases, and abuse, neglect, and dependency cases. Those are the kind of cases that the public generally knows as children's services cases. In nearly 20 years on the bench, I have heard in excess of 15,000 of those cases. My wife and I have raised 2 teenage children, which I think we can all agree is quite a task, and which is